Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Surge here with day 11 of Firestorm reveals. So no video yesterday because all of the reveals yesterday were just new arts. There were no new functional cards being revealed, so there wasn't really anything for me to talk about. But today we have a bunch of actually new cards. But first, let's go over the day 10 stuff. We got the spirit arts revealed. They're very land-esque, very cool arts. Really wished that instead of hollow spirits we got full art spirits, because I would love to have these in full art. But it is what it is. These are pretty nice arts. I like them quite a bit. And then we got two new full art runes, which kind of dashed a theory of mine. So we got Earthquake and Eruption as reprint runes in this set. What's very interesting about this is that previously I theorized we were getting a new full art Poseidon and Zeus, because there were exactly two slots between Hestia and Hermes that Water and Thunder fall into. However, now we have Eruption in one of those slots. So I imagine that last slot is another fire rune of some kind. Not sure which though. Like, the reason I say that is because if they were going to reveal another reprint rune, I think they would have done it in this set, in day 10. I think they would have revealed it at the same time as Eruption and Earthquake. So this is probably one of the many fire runes that has not been revealed, two of which we're getting today. But one of the fire runes that we haven't gotten yet, that's what this probably is. Entirely unsure what that could be, but it's probably one of those. I'm not sure it'll be a Hestia related card, because I think if they were going to do that, I think Hermes would be getting that as well, but there isn't the space for that. As you can see here, right after Hermes is when the Hollow Spirits start. So there's not space for that. So yeah, that's Earthquake is a really sick reprint, by the way. Oh, sorry. Earthquake is a really sick reprint. Really happy with that one. Looks really nice. Eruption is pretty cool too. Yeah. Now let us talk about the new cards. So we are still going through the Divines, but now we are touching on Hephaestus support, and assumedly tomorrow will be Aeolus support. Very exciting stuff. So first up, we have Rummikul, Champion of Hephaestus. This is a 3/2. When you cast this Rummikul, you can return an artifact rune from your underworld to your hand. This Rummikul gets +1 attack for each enchanted artifact rune on the field. This is pretty nice. This is very, very nice. I like this card quite a bit. Being able to get back your artifact runes. Like, actually, let me double check on this. I need to double check on something. I need to double check Argo. I'm pretty sure Argo can play the runes from your hand, though. But I just want to be absolutely sure on this before I say anything. Yeah, from your hand or deck. So, like, it means that you can go, okay, I'm going to run one copy of the artifact runes I care about, and I'm still going to be able to use them for Argo or use them just from hand just fine. And then it's going to get bigger the more artifact runes you have down on the board, which is pretty cool. Gets up to a 4 pretty quickly, and if that's like something that's buffing its attack itself, this Rummikul can very easily get up to 6 attack, so it's going to be beating over rabbits, which is basically where you always want to be with this sort of thing. Very nice card, very nice body. Yeah. Then we have then we have Scavakul, Champion of Hephaestus. This is a hollow rare. So this is a 6/6, 2 fire. Very nice stat line. Like that stat line a lot. This Scavakul in your hand can special ascend from your fire Elestral if you have at least 2 enchanted artifact runes on your field. Artifacts that were empowering that Elestral start empowering this Scavakul instead of being sent to the underworld. Very nice. A-Drive had been hinting for a couple weeks that there was a card in this set that doesn't drop artifacts when it ascends. So this is that card. Very cool card. I like this card a lot. a super easy special ascension like that is always pretty valuable because it lets you get a bigger body on the board. And if you give this, say, like a golden fleece, it's going to be really annoying for your opponent to get rid of. However, it is still going to falter to Shield of Achilles. Shield of Achilles is going to be really annoying for any artifact-centric deck. But there are some tools we have in here that might make that a bit easier. And given how Scavacol works, it might not be that difficult to get back on the field again after it gets bounced. So it might not be that big of a deal. Then we have Valkyries. Valkyries. A 4/2. When you cast this Valkyries, you can search your deck for Hephaestus and add your hand. So this is the we saw the first of these new searchers in Spynymph in the binder. Didn't get full details on Spynymph because we're still missing the information on his ascension. But Spynymph did make me a bit worried because Spynymph is a 2/4. We really don't because yes, the stat line of Elechick when combined with Zeus and Demeter specifically is pretty oppressive because it's a 7 that establishes your Divine Rune. However, that does not apply to any of these non-stat modifying Divine Runes. Hephaestus can be seen as like a stat modifying one in a way, but it is much better for these more specific Divine Rune searchers to be more offensively statted so that they're able to impact the board, so that they're more likely to impact the board the turn that they come down. So this is very good to see. And then Valkyries has a really powerful second effect. While Hephaestus is enchanted, you may also use fire from your underworld to play artifact runes. That is really strong. That's really powerful. Oh, that's so good. It's incredible. This card is incredible. What else is there to say? This sort of spirit efficiency is what a lot of more expensive archetypes really, really wanted to see. And it's very cool to see this. Obviously, it combos extremely well with Argo. Argo effectively becomes 0 because you pay 2 for the Argo, then you get the 2 spirits back for the 1 to 2 spirits back for the artifact rune. And then if you can spend those 2 spirits from the artifact rune on something else, like a Nexus or Ambrosia or whatever, then you have effectively gone completely neutral on Argo, and that makes Argo extremely powerful. Yeah, this is a very, very nice card. Then we have a new artifact rune. This is Anvil of Hephaestus. This is a 1-cost fire artifact rune that gives +1 attack. And when an artifact rune on your field is sent to the underworld, you can enchant each spirit that was enchanting that artifact rune from your underworld to a card on your field. So this is a cool card. However, it is not like a standalone good card. It is like a thing that is okay, it is cool to be able to go, I'm going to set this up, and then all of my artifact runes are going to refund me, which is going to be very nice. Going to make it really easy to keep stuff like Kinleo online. Lots of cool stuff you can do with this card. But it's not super good on its own. It does count itself, by the way. So this artifact rune is effectively free because if this anvil leaves the field, it will then transfer its spirit to something else, say your Hephaestus. This makes it really easy to keep Hephaestus online forever, by the way, even through Kinleos and altars and stuff like that, because Anvil is going to be able to constantly transfer your spirits over to Hephaestus, and considering that sort of thing is likely to happen in the battle phase, that's where it's going to be safest. So very, very nice card. Like this card quite a bit. But I do wish it was so this is actually the only new artifact rune that Hephaestus is getting, which is kind of unfortunate. I think the deck would have really liked a new standalone good artifact rune because it doesn't have one. It just has to dip into the Omni Runes. Hammer is not very good, though Hammer is probably significantly better now. Because you can play it effectively for free via either Anvil's effect or Valkyrie's effect. And like if you're playing out a bunch of artifact runes, it's really easy for it to get pretty big. I also want to check something real quick. Something I need to check real quick. I need to check Mr. Ciprimal. Sad. Ciprimal has to take from deck. That is really unfortunate for this deck. But yeah. This is also pretty powerful with Golden Fleece, because even if you properly enchant Golden Fleece, you can then transfer those Solar Spirits elsewhere and make use of it through other stuff, which is very cool. Yeah, I like this card. It's decent, but I really would have liked something like actually properly good. Actually, let me remind myself what the Hammer Hephaestus actually does. I know it's like +1 attack for each enchanted rune on your field. Base set. It is... Okay, that's unfortunate. While Hephaestus is enchanted, the empowered Elestral cannot be targeted by an opponent's Elestrals effect. I was kind of hoping that would be unaffected. I remembered it was something like that, something about immunity to Elestrals effects, but I was kind of hoping that would be unaffected. Because being targeting specifically means you're still vulnerable to like stuff like Eddie, which is unfortunate. Not the best place in the world to be, but it's cool. It's fine. Like considering because I think about it this way. So the options you have for fire enchanted artifact runes are you've got Necklace, you've got Poison Tunic, and you've got Hammer of Hephaestus, and you've got Anvil, and you've got Torch. You do kind of want these 2-spirit ones, because that's what's going to give you the most bang for your buck on Anvil and Valkyries. And Hammer does have this extra effect. So you do probably want Hammer over Torch of Hestia. And neither Poison Tunic nor Necklace are able to give you 2 attack with like no downsides. A lot of the time, Hammer is just going to be giving you 2 attack because you're going to have the Hephaestus on the field. So you should be able to have that most of the time. So like just having an artifact rune that's able to give you 2 attack, just unconditionally basically, is a good place for the deck to be. That is a card that the deck probably wants to be playing. But we have one last card. We have Reforge. So Reforge is an Invoke rune that is 1 fire and returns an artifact rune from your underworld to your hand. Return spirits equal to that artifact rune's enchantment cost from your underworld to your spirit deck. So this is effectively free. If you're getting back like a Hammer or a Poison Tunic or something like that, you get to make it heal you 1. However, I'm not sure this card will make the cut. So you've got to think about this in terms... You've got to think out the deck space on this. So baseline, we have 17 guys. We want 17 1-drops in our deck. So that's 17 already. Then we want the 5 standard Invoke runes in 3 Ambrosia, 1 Earthquake, 1 Norals. So that puts us to 22. Then we want at least 2 copies of Hephaestus. That puts us to 24. Then we want at least 10 counter runes. That puts us to 34. And then we want some number of artifact runes. Probably 3 to 4. That puts us to 37 to 38. That means we have very few open slots. And being in fire and the new Scavacol exists, or Scavagem, I can never remember which is which on those two. But those Ascensions being good means that those are our cards we want to run. If you're on Argo lists typically are running a higher counter rune count than normal decks, so you want to be on that as well. Like, it's a lot of deck space. I think the best artifact rune this deck could have possibly received would have been an artifact rune that fills a double function. Like an artifact rune that's like, you can discard this from your hand to get back a 1-cost Fire Elestral from your Underworld, or like specifically a Champion of Hephaestus back, or search for your deck. Maybe pay a fire for that if it's from your deck, something like that. Or a artifact rune that's like, while this is on the field, when your opponent's Elestral attacks, you can like pay a fire and then destroy this artifact rune to switch the battle position of the attacking Elestral. Something that is able to function as a counter rune. Basically, you would really want an artifact rune that's able to function as a counter rune or an Elestral, one of those things that you really need a certain number of in your deck for an Elestrals deck to function, so that you can keep your artifact rune count up while also keeping sufficient counts of those types of cards. One of those sorts of things would have done a lot for this deck, and I hope in one of the future waves throughout the block that this deck is yet to receive, it will receive something like that. Because with our deck sizes strictly constrained to 40 cards, those sorts of cards are really important for decks like these that want to spend a bunch of space on stuff that isn't the core 17 1-drops, 5 invokes, 10 plus counter runes. Decks that really need those extra cards to function are benefited a lot by those sorts of dual function cards. That said, there's some really strong stuff here. I'm really excited to see like all this spirit reusage stuff here. That is the direction I really wanted to see more of going into the future. It's what made me so excited about Carry Off. So I'm very excited to see a lot more of that here. I think this deck might have legs. However, there is already a really powerful sideboard tool to bring in against this. From Daybreak, there is a very powerful Lith known as Heliolith that is very good if artifact runes are actually good. Heliolith is a 5/5 2 solar that can be normal cast if an artifact is enchanted, and when you cast this Heliolith, you can return an Elestral on the field to its owner's hand, non-targeting. So if you're thinking of running Guardian of the Fleece, Guardian of the Fleece will not work against Heliolith. It also won't work against Eddie, against Shield. Guardian is probably not a good card to be running. Partly because of the reasons I was just talking about, in which you do not have a ton of space in the deck. But the other part is that there's a lot of stuff that Guardian of the Fleece just does not work at all against. And is just going to end up dead a significant amount of the time. You do probably run some amount of solar stuff, though. Seepermaul is a pretty solid card to be running. Because it's another way of just getting artifact runes on the board for effectively free. And Golden Fleece is like a pretty solid one. However, Seepermaul does run into an issue where it cannot cast the Golden Fleece from hand, only from deck. And you don't really want to be running more than one copy of your artifact runes in this archetype. So Seepermaul might not make the cut for that reason. However, another card from Solar that you almost certainly want to be running, like 100% you should be running, is Lyre of Apollo. Lyre of Apollo is just, I can turn Argo into a stat swap. I can make Argo cause a galaxy effect. And that's really strong. Like, you just put this on your opponent's Elestral when you flip up Argo, and you just swap their stats. And it's a 3-cost Argo. Like, you're not getting the free benefits from the Vulgari stuff, but you're getting a really powerful combat trick that is cheaper than typical stuff. And of course, as we previously discussed, if the anvil is on the board, and then that Elestral dies because its stats got swapped, then the solar that is on Lyre gets to be transferred to something else. That's the sort of stuff that Anvil is really, really powerful at. But yeah. I actually completely forgot to mention this when I was talking about Reforged. A big part of why I don't think this card is actually all that good is that its role of retrieving artifacts that you are probably running only one copy of is already fulfilled by a guy in the deck in the Rummagem, I believe it's called. So a guy already filling the same role puts it in a much worse position overall. Kineo will obviously be very strong in this deck. Like, it's really, really, really easy to have the Nexus fodder for Kineo in this deck. So that's a huge plus for the deck just right out the gate. But you'll probably want Hurricane in this deck. I'm going to be real. You probably really need Hurricane in this deck. Because if you get shielded, you are going to cry. It's going to be rough. Yeah. This deck is pretty cool. I can really easily see this deck having legs. Now, let's talk about collection numbers. So Rummikul through Volcaries. Let's pull them up. Volcaries is 17 through 19. So this actually dashes a previous theory. Previously, we were assuming, and everything seemed to be pointing in this direction, that the cover cards of each of the champion archetypes would be the start of their element. However, these champions of Hephaestus prove that wrong because they're in these slots, 17 through 19. So that means Panzer is the last numbered of the Earth Elestrals, and they are actually only getting 8 Earth Elestrals, which is actually only 6 because the Spine Nymph and Spinalisect line are also in Earth. And we know Dratalia, Escape from Tartarus, is in here. So Earth actually only has 1 card to go. Because these 2 slots will be the Champion of Hermes, Spine Nymph and Spinalisect, because champions come first. And then one of these has to be Dratalia, and that only leaves a space for a 1-stage Elestral. So yeah. Now a 1-stage Elestral is just as good as like a 2-stage, like a lot of the time, because like the thing that matters the most is the 1 cost. So it could still be something really good for Earth as an archetype. Yeah. That also means I think we can assume from that within the same element that champions are going to be ordered by the release order of the champion. Like it will probably be like primary element champions first, and then within that you sort based on the release order of the champion. So that's why Hephaestus stuff would come before the Hestia stuff. That would also mean any Aeolus stuff we're getting in this set would come before Hermes. And that does make sense because Thunder is currently slotted for like 11 cards if we assume Carrion is the start of the wind stuff. And whereas Water is only getting 8 total. So it makes a lot of sense if these 3 slots are actually Champion of Aeolus cards. And that would give Wind a whop, but that does end up with Wind getting like 13 slots. So we'll see what happens. But we are also getting like the new Flare Moth line in here. So like there is a decent amount of stuff happening in Wind here. So that wouldn't be, I wouldn't be too surprised by that. That would make Wind the element that will be receiving the most new Elestrals in this set. Yeah. Is there anything else to talk about here? Oh, actually there is. So I don't have the image up. Let me see if I can find it real fast. There's actually one last thing. Yes, found it. So I actually do not know where this came from, but this was like on posted on Discord earlier. This is a clearly an alt art of Champion of Hephaestus Vulgaris. Almost certainly from Showered Stars, especially because it has like the reverse holo stuff. So that got me thinking. The constellation rare for next month's Fire Shower Stars is Vulgaris. So, we actually might be looking at Vulgaris Champion of Hephaestus being the one that is getting the constellation rare instead of original Vulgaris. I would really love that. That would be awesome, because I don't think anyone's really going to be playing original Vulgaris, but this new Vulgaris is going to see a lot of play, and I really want more of the constellation rares to be cards that are actually going to see play, because those cards look really cool, and I want to be able to play with them. But yeah, this Shower Stars reprint is very nice. This is a very nice art. It's gonna be nice to be able to, actually, what rarity is it's a holo rare base. Okay, so it will be in holo regardless, but this is a nice art, and if we get it as the constellation rare, that's going to be a very nice looking card. I would love that. I would love that a lot. And that's going to be it for today. We had a lot to go over. Very excited for potential ALS stuff tomorrow. But with that said, this is Hunter Surge, signing off.